Okay, so here comes your next main option. Most of the customers in Cisco, uh, I would say a large number of customers are using TMS for phone book and booking purpose. Even though they have UCM, they'll still use TMS. If TMS is still there in their deployment, they will still use TMS because of the flexibility in choosing different sources and the options that we have in here. Okay, so there are two options that you would require the most. One is phone book sources, and the other one is manage phone book. So manage phone book sources and manage phone book. First, you have to create a source. You have to manage those sources. Then you have to create phone books on top of it, right? So so consider you have a phone. You bought a phone. Before you start creating your phone books, you need to create some sources. You need to arrange your diaries or whatever sources you have so that you can gather all the numbers before you create your phone book on your phone, right? So you need some data for that. So whenever you work on any case wherein customer need help creating some phone books, first thing to validate would be what is the source of it. We click on source. There will be a default section that is called all systems. This is created by TMS. What it means is whatever endpoints we have in TMS, all systems are a part of this list. So whichever system we have in TMS right now, we have those entries pulled from the database from that section under navigator. So those are pulled here and we have a list for those as a source. Now, if you want a fresh source, we will just go back here, click on new. By default, it's TMS endpoint, which we already have, which is all systems. I can have AD. Yeah, so I have AD already created here. All right, some problem with the connecting to the AD, but yeah, these are the options. So you click on new, click on AD. You can type test AD here, click save. You have a new directory create, basically a source created with the name test AD. Bandwidth, yeah, there is a bandwidth that when you import the context, how much bandwidth do you require? If probably the users are large in number, you might have to choose a higher bandwidth. Else, put in the basic detail, your Active Directory IP address or FTDN, username, password. Click on advanced settings if you need to, like if you have a specific group, a specific base DN where you want to pull the users from, and a filter that you want to define further. If the port number is not 389 by default, it's a different port number. You can just put in the same port number here and click on save. Further, you have options to choose what all data you want to pull from the source. You want phone numbers, you want home phone number, SIP. So when you choose AD, based on AD, we have these sections because these are there in the AD section. And you click on save. Once you click save, you will have contacts visible on this side. You can also do test connection to test if your connection to the AD is successful or not. And your contacts would be visible here. Doing this, we are creating some sources which are pulled from the source that we define, and these are now added on TMS. Okay, so you got a source created that is pulling contacts and that is now on TMS. Further, there's an option called manage phone book where you need to add those sources. Okay, let me just create another source where I have some users available. So I have a list of different options. Let me create a manual list. I think that way we can easily see what all users I imported. I click on save. Manual list means I have to manually create contacts that I want. Okay. So lab one, I click save. This is my first user. Now for lab one, I need to define what will be the contact, what will be the SIP address for this. So lab one at cisco.com. If you want to define any bandwidth, you can do that. Then I choose H03, 12345 or whatever, add, and I am done with this. So I have manual list, lab one contact, and it has SIP and S3 contact. Quickly, I'll add one more, lab two, save. Then I'll click on add method, lab two at cisco.com. Bandwidth would be this, add, and you are done with this. So you have lab one and lab two created. That is a part of manual list. Okay, so you saved it, manual test. So this is my source I created. Now this source is not linked to anything right now. It is not linked to any of the directories. There is a section called manage phone book wherein I have to create a directory. I need to create a folder. That folder is empty. I need to map those sources that I just created. Okay, so there's one section where I create sources, and there is a section wherein I create folders, and I link those sources which I created from the other screen, like this one. So many congrats to Harshan. I think he should not be a part of this training. Anyways, so yeah, I chose manual list. I click OK. It says connecting. I'll just click on update. And now I can see those contacts under manage phone book. I've created a folder with the name manual lab test, and I can add one source or maybe multiple source. I can further click on connect and add few more like all systems, AD. I can have a combination of multiple sources inside one folder. Then I click update, and when I click on view contact, I see all systems, AD, a combination of all of that. So within one folder, I can have multiple sources added inside it. Yep. Then go back to your device, 136, and you go to phone book. Here, manual lab test. This is the one that we just created. Or probably just move all the one here and move this one to the device. So for 136. Now on this one, I'll quickly update my endpoint IP address so that we can do a quick test and see if the new phone book we created is visible there. I'll change the phone book URL also. And then I click on call. This will be a common scenario when customer deploy parallel TMS. We don't support clustering of TMS. We only support redundancy. If you have parallel TMS running in deployment, this is the kind of problem you'll see wherein one TMS tries to overwrite and take over, and that will create these kind of problems. So this is the lab context along with the other contexts we added into our source. Yeah. So these are the sources we created, and those are now visible on our endpoint also. So yeah, any question, guys, on this? I think that ends the session for today. I think that that's pretty much cover what we have on TMS as far as the configs are concerned. We have this last section that I'll be covering with bookings tomorrow. So let me know if you guys have any questions on this, guys.